So the next concept is replication task. Okay, so now the replication task is basically to copy the data from source to target. Okay, so this is just for DB to DB data loads. Okay, it will not perform because in the validation, sorry, in the synchronization task where we have option of expression, we can write something. We have option of filters to write additional filters. Okay, but in case of replication task, so it is just replicate the data from source to target. Okay, now so DRS is the naming standard for replication task. DRS underscore DRS underscore SLK 18. I'm just giving. Okay, so here we can replicate the database altogether. The entire database we can replicate all the objects in the database. We can replicate from one schema to another schema or one database to another database every time. Okay, but in case of synchronization task where we have selected the source table, target table, and we have mapped, right, and explicit table names that we have selected here. But in case of replication task, so all the tables of source will be get replicated into the target table. Okay, now let's say I wanted to replicate from this table. So we have an option of three. We have three options here: all objects, include objects, and exclude objects. If you select all objects, entire the DB, like schema to schema, it will get replicated. If you select include objects, which are objects that we wanted to replicate. Let's say
It is all including data, column, everything, right, Bhaskar?
everything.
Okay.
So
Is
here,
that possible from flat file? Now you are connecting with the DB, right? DB, it will take
no, this
entire
is for database only. This is for
only
database,
for data.
not for files.
Okay.
Okay, like any database like MySQL, Oracle SQL, Salesforce, or SQL Server, any kind of an SQL. Okay, so here we have two options. If any error occurs, like if any error comes, like while copying the data, right, table to table. Okay, now if any error occurs for any of the data load, what is the operation that we should do? Like we have to cancel processing the remaining objects or continue processing the remaining objects. Okay, we can select any one of them. Okay, as per the requirement, we will have to select it. Save it. Click on next. Okay, now I wanted to load into SLK18 schema. So target table prefix. Okay, so when the table is getting created, so with some prefix that we will have to mention. Okay, so because when we select the prefix, then we will be able to understand. So this table is created by which process? Is it created by manual process or is it created by IICS? Okay, let's say I selected with SLK 18 underscore. I'm just prefixing with SLK 18 underscore. Okay, now the source I selected system schema. Target I selected, source I selected system schema. Target I selected SLK 18 schema. So I wanted to replicate the data between system schema to SLK 18 schema. Okay, so there are different load types. Okay, so incremental loads after the full initial load, incremental load after the partial initial load, incremental load, rows created or modified after, or full load each run. So these are the load type. So by default, this option will be selected. Full load every run. Okay. Now the delete options. So whenever there is any change is happened in the source, like there are certain few columns are dropped in the table. Okay, so few columns are added into the column, added into the table. So then, if at all any rows or if at all any columns are removed in the source end, then those columns also will be removed from the target. we have commit size. So this is just an option. So if at all we wanted to specify commit interval for any of the specific rows, like I wanted to pass every commit for this many number of rows, then we can select it. If not, it will go with the default option. Okay. So now field exclusions. So if at all we wanted to exclude any fields, we can click on this exclude fields from which object, which fields that we wanted to exclude. So we can select that. So here I don't want address. Here I don't want name. Okay, like that we can select the exclude options. Okay, from which table, which column we don't want to exclude. So see, I mentioned in each object these two columns I wanted to exclude. So if at all we required, we can exclude these certain fields. Then click on next. So here also we can add data filters. So here also we have data filters. If at all we have to add, so because whatever the tables that we are going to populate, out of that for which if at all any of the table we wanted to apply any specific filters, we can apply that. So either we can directly select here, or we can go with the advanced option and we can select the objects and the respective filter condition we can add it. So we have a option of adding a filter. Then click finish. Now this replication task is created. Now let me run it. Connection failed. Okay. Let me check this SLK18 connection because I did not use this connection quite a few days. Yeah, this connection is having some issue. Seems like we don't have that user. Yeah, this user was not there actually. Okay. Now let me connect to this SLK18 user. Okay, first let me check whether the tables are present in the database or not. So in the 18 schema, SLK18 schema, we don't have this table. We don't have this table too. Now let me run it. So now that is connection is successful. Okay, now let me run it. Okay, it is processed 8 rows. So when you click on the subtask, so we can see, so emp underscore DSS is one table, emp underscore DSS underscore target is another table. Now SLK 18 underscore DSS target. So we have the data here. From where we got this SLK 18 underscore, because when we create the when we create this replication task in the target, oh my God. So in the target we have given that option. Okay, so table name prefix. So since we are given the table name prefix as SLK 18 underscore, so the tables are created with SLK 18 underscore table name. See, these two tables are replicated. So this is how we are going to use the replication task to replicate the tables between source to target. So it is going to check whether the table what we are trying to load is there already in the database or not. So if it is there, then it will overwrite. If it is not there, it is going to create and it will load the data into the table. Okay, so the remaining options that we will have to select as per the requirements. Okay, but nowadays the majority of the people they are not using this replication tasks actually, because they are not going to track, because if at all there is any issue, so then they are not able to track which table is having an issue, and so from where it is stopped, again how the other tables are getting loaded. So we will not be able to set the dependency between the tables. So that's why mostly people are going to create the respective mappings and load the data for every table. Okay, but for the interview purpose, we will have to use it. But if at all we have, the architect is going to tell us that no, we will have to go with this replication task, then we should go with it. So any questions here in the replication task? Anyone? Here I have given target table and prefix SLK18. That's why the tables are created with that name. Questions? Anyone having any questions?
Bhaskar. Bhaskar, what about scheduling part? Is it completed or?
No, scheduling part, basically we are not going to use Informatica schedule actually. Okay, so we'll be using Control M, or we'll be using Active Batch, or we'll be using Tivoli, or any kind of third party schedulers. But if at all we wanted to schedule here, yes, we can schedule here. So this schedule option will be there for every mapping. Sorry, for every task like synchronization task, replication task, or mapping task. Okay, so for every task will be having a schedule option, but no one is going to use that Informatica schedules. Okay. If
Okay.
required, I can show that like what all the options are there and how we can schedule it. It's not a
Yeah.
problem.
Yes, yes.
I will show that, no problem.
Because suppose if we have a criteria like need to create a file MI job, for that MI job we need to create a file listener, right? For file listener we need to schedule for that
That
concept.
is again different activity actually. So file listeners are again a different activity. Okay, so the schedule options are same across all actually. Okay, you can take any task. So for every task, the schedule options are common. Okay, I'll just show that. I'm just opening a mapping task. Okay, so if I go here in the runtime options, so we will be having a schedule. Okay, either we have to run with the schedule or without on schedule. Let's say when we select it, we need to select the scheduler. So we need to create a scheduler here. If we don't have, we have to create a new schedule. While creating a new schedule, you have to mention the schedule name. Okay, now from when it has to start. Okay, from when the job has to start, and for what time zone the job has to execute, and the repeat option. So how we have to repeat? Like for every hour we have to repeat, for every 2 hours, 3 hours, hourly basis we have to repeat, or minutes basis we have to repeat. Okay, so daily repeat, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. So we have certain options here. So how this job has to execute when we are scheduling it, that means it has to execute every day automatically, right? So when it has to execute automatically every day, on what frequency it has to execute. So we have to set the frequency here. Okay, we have to, let's say for every hourly I selected. So for every 1 hour I selected, like which all the days it has to execute. All days, okay, or any specific time range every day. So in this day, starting from this time to this time to this time only execute for every 1 hour. We don't want to execute next. Okay, if at all we wanted to, so repeat indefinitely. That means so there is no end date. It is going to run lifetime. Okay, lens we have to set the end time. So then when we are going to select to save it, so then like this we can create many schedules. Okay, all the schedules will be created. Now in the select schedule we will have to select schedule for the this particular mapping task. So for this particular mapping task, what is the requirement and which schedule that we will have to use it. But in real time, if you see, there will be some kind of a schedules will be automatically created. Like so by default they will create like to execute for every 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. Like that, the automatic schedules will be there. Okay, but still for our specific project purpose or for this mapping task purpose, if at all we wanted to create any schedule, we will have to click on the new schedule and we'll have to add the schedule. So once we add the schedule, we have to select from the drop down.
Okay, Bhaskar. In real time, they will have a common scheduling part for 1 hour daily process, everything.
They will be having, but so since they are the default ones, right? If at all we don't want to use them, we can go with our own schedulers also.
Okay. Each and every mapping, we can create a new scheduling part for this.
Yeah, that is up to us actually. So if the requirement says, so this job has to execute every day at 7 a.m. Okay, so all the jobs, let's say we are loading a staging load. So there are 10 jobs that we created. All of them has to execute in parallel at the same time. Then we can create single schedule. We can use the same schedule for all the 10 mappings. If at all we have a different timings for every job, then we will have to create the separate schedules.
Okay, Bhaskar. Great.
Okay, fine. I think this is enough for today.